One second.
Recording in progress.
You all set, Patrick?
Yep.
Letting
Okay.
We're all here.
I'd like to welcome you to the Lunenburg Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm going to tell you how the hearing will proceed, but first I have to give you an announcement, notification, that the hearing is being recorded in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law. You please be advised that this meeting will be broadcast live through local access cable on Facebook Live, on the public access Facebook page, and will be able to be found in the Lunenburg Public Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. To participate remotely from a computer, go to the Zoom meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to the board. To my left is Lisa Normandin, the board secretary. I'm Alfred Gravel. This is James Bezikowski, David Blatt, Patrick Callahan, and Tony Nicastro. The way the meeting will proceed is Lisa will read the application and any other submitted communications. The applicant will have the opportunity for comments on the application or submission of additional material or documents. You will please come forward to the mic and give your name and address. Board members will have the opportunity to ask questions that they might have on the application while you are at the mic. There will be a public comment period. You will please come forward to the mic, give your name and address all comments and questions to the board. And with that, I would ask Lisa to please read the first application.
This is an application for a special permit, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. The name and address of each applicant is PSG Realty, 393-435 LLC, on behalf of Rodnott Family Revocable Trust, John and Michelle Rodnott. The undersigned hereby petitions as follows. The applicant is requesting a special permit from Section 250, 5.1B, lot width through building, to reduce the pre-existing width in the front from 146.6 feet to 136.1 feet, and the width in the back from 136.9 to 129.8, as shown on the plan of land prepared by Toper Land Survey Incorporated, dated February 13th, 2024. Proposed action has not begun. The basis for this application is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, Section 258.3B2D and 255.1B, lot width through building. The street address is 155 Arbor Street, assesses map 68, parcel 20 and 21. The name and address of each holder of a legal title to the land, which is the subject of this case, is Rodnott Family Revocable Trust, 155 Arbor Street in Lunenburg. And the deed is recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Book 10089, page 286, and recorded 8/30/2021. There is a memo to follow. Mr. Gravel, on behalf of PSG Realty, 393-435 LLC applicant, and Rodnott Family Revocable Trust, owner McCarty Engineering, Inc., MEI, has prepared a special permit request with supporting documents for the property located at 155 Arbor Street. 155 Arbor Street contains an existing single-family home located in the Residence A zoning district. The special permit is for the reduction of the lot width through the building at 155 Arbor Street, as shown on the plan of land provided by Toper Land Survey, Inc., dated February 13th, 2024. This permit is being filed as part of an ongoing permitting process of 171 Arbor Street. A definitive subdivision was originally filed with the Town of Lunenburg Planning Board in September of 2023 for the construction of 4 single-family homes on a new subdivision roadway at 171 Arbor Street. The proposed project was also filed with the Conservation Commission and Mass Wildlife's Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. Due to a portion of the property being mapped within a priority habit, a filing was required with MHESP. A habitat evaluation was conducted on the parcel, and it was identified that a portion of the parcel contained habitat for the Blandings turtle. As a result, we proceeded to revise the design to avoid the areas designated to be protected by Mass Wildlife, and found that at most we could accommodate a 3-lot subdivision. During the redesign, we were approached by the abutter at 155 Arbor Street, who made us aware that the town of Lunenburg had just revised their regulations, approved at Fall Town Meeting, to allow a common driveway to serve up to 4 lots. As a result, we reviewed the available frontage and laid out a lot configuration that would accommodate 3 proposed lots served by 1 common driveway. However, in order to achieve this, we would need approximately 11.4 feet of frontage from 155 Arbor Street. The application details the land swap required to provide 171 Arbor Street with this additional required frontage. Currently, 155 Arbor Street is an existing non-conforming lot that does not meet the minimum requirements for lot area or minimum lot width through building. The minimum lot area in the RA district is 40,000 square feet. 155 Arbor Street contains 26,527 square feet. Additionally, the minimum required lot width through the building in the RA district is 175 feet. The existing minimum lot width through the building at 155 Arbor Street is 136.9. The proposed land swap would reduce the existing lot width through the building at 155 Arbor Street from 136.9 to 129.8 in the back of the building. However, an additional 17,467 square feet of land area would be added to the lot area. This would result in a total lot area of 43,994 square feet, and the parcel would now conform to zoning for lot area within RA district. I would like to note here that this nonconformity is present elsewhere in this neighborhood, as the 3 parcels immediately abutting 155 and 171 Arbor Street, 133, 143, and 179 Arbor Street also do not conform to the 175 lot width through the building requirement. In reference to the special permit application and the questions within it, please see the responses below. A, will the proposed action be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire or explosion, or other reasons? The reply, the land swap will have no negative effect with respect to public health, traffic, or danger of fire. 3-lot common driveway will result in significantly less impact to the surrounding property, as a full-width subdivision roadway does not have to be constructed to subdivision standards. In lieu of the subdivision roadway, an 18-foot wide driveway will only have to be constructed. The traffic generated from 3 single-family houses will be de minimis. B, will this action have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities of the neighborhood? The reply, the relocation of the property line will allow for the construction of 3 new single-family homes in the town of Lunenburg, which will have a beneficial effect on the surrounding property values. Additionally, the houses will be served by private wells and septic systems, so there will be no negative effect on public utilities. C, will the proposed action be operated with reasonable regard for order and sight lines if in open use? The reply, the proposed common driveway will be designed to provide adequate sight lines along Arbor Street. In addition, 3 single-family homes will not alter traffic volume along Arbor Street. D, will the proposed action produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of the adjacent property? The reply, the proposed single-family homes will be set back over 200 feet from Arbor Street and will be screened from adjacent neighbors. In addition to this letter, please find the following: original and 14 copies of the application, 15 copies of the plan set. We look forward to working with the board in review of this proposed project. Should you require any additional information or additional copies of the information submitted, please feel free. Sincerely, Brian Marchetti, Vice President, and Justin Leclerc, Civil Engineer. This is signed by both John Rodnott of 155 Arbor Street and Stephen Powell of 133 Leominster Shirley Road. There is also a copy of the plan, a copy of the list of abutters. There is a zoning determination from the building commissioner with the requirements. I'll just summarize. The proposed project includes the relocation of the southern property line at 155 Arbor Street to allow for the creation of 3 A&R lots at 171 Arbor Street. See attached cover letter. And then there is also a plan. Since the filing, I have received 1 letter of support that was hand-delivered by John Rodnott of 155 Arbor Street. Dear board members, my wife and I have owned the home at 155 Arbor Street since 1988. We are unable to attend the September 12th, the 11th, meeting, so I'm writing this letter to let you know that we fully support this application. We have been in discussions with Steve Powell since first notice was given of his intention to develop the land behind our house. Our interests are to minimize the impacts on the environment and neighborhood and to reduce any tree removal to preserve our view of the trees in our backyard. We have reached an agreement for a land swap with Mr. Powell, which is advantageous for both parties. In return for reducing our frontage slightly, we are gaining additional land in the back of our lot, which brings the overall size of our lot to over 1 acre and therefore in compliance with District A development requirements. The additional land will provide a 50-foot buffer with no tree removal between our property and any new development. In addition, this land swap allows the development to use a common driveway versus a full-spec road, further reducing the impact to the environment. The reduction of the lot width through the building of less than 10 feet is negligible and would not be noticed. The lot line being moved is behind vegetation and not even seen from the house. The property was never in compliance for lot width anyway, so the change makes no difference to us or our neighbors. The two abutting properties are also non-compliant with regard to lot width. Mr. Powell has acted in good faith in discussions with us to reduce the environmental impact, and I think this is an example of how abutting homeowners and developers can work constructively together and should be encouraged by the town. Thank you for your consideration, and my wife and I encourage the board to approve this application. Regards, John Rodnott, owner and resident at 155 Arbor Street. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
And with that, I'd invite the applicant or his rep to come up to the mic, speak to it. It'd be better if he puts this on this side. Can they get it on the camera better? No. Okay. You're gonna have to turn that a little, no, I think he can probably get it.
Won't be an issue as well then.
Oh, okay. Not your first rodeo here? Okay.
No, definitely not. So, my name is Brian Marchetti. I'm a civil engineer in Massachusetts, 42 Tucker Drive, Leominster. And here on behalf of Steve Powell and PS&G Realty. So, pretty much you read everything I was about to say for a presentation. But we started the process of developing a 4-lot subdivision here about a year ago. And as it was said, DSHAP, the study that was done by a habitat assessment found that there was a Blanding's turtle. This middle area of the property was a section of land that was cleared out 40+ years ago, which left an open gravel sandy area in the middle of the property, which is priority habitat for the Blanding's turtle. So what was found when the habitat assessment was done was the turtles came up into the sandy area and they nested and they found turtle remnants of shells from the egg shells. So the subdivision originally had 4 lots. We had reduced it from a 4-lot to a 3-lot subdivision, and it required basically along our frontage of the property here a full 26-foot subdivision roadway with the off-grading, stormwater controls, utilities. So the impact was basically the full width of the frontage was graded, was excavated, it was going to be a developed roadway. And by modifying it now to a common driveway, a 3-lot common driveway, not only can we reduce the width of the roadway, we don't have to meet the minimum standards for slope, so it didn't require as much grading. So off-grading through the development up on both sides, and as well as part of this land swap, we've agreed in discussions with Mr. Rodnott to put a deed restriction that this section here, which is a 50-foot right-of-way of the abutting property, would never be developed. It's going to be left in the vegetated state. So both to the south of his property here is going to remain vegetated, and this 17,467 square foot parcel in the back, which is parcel A, is what Mr. Powell has agreed to give him in a land swap, which provides an additional 50 foot behind his house of undisturbed vegetation. So this is the overall plan that's going to be, intended to be built. We'd have one lot out behind Mr. Rodnot's house, and this driveway, the common driveway, would end basically right here after this first house on lot 3, and then we'd have one additional house in the back of the property. Overall, the entire parcel is 21 and a half acres. After the land swap, this property would be left about 1.7 acres. So more than adequate acreage for, the development of 3 single-family homes on a common driveway. There is a significant wetland resource area in the back of the property that will also be protected and obviously has to remain undeveloped. So when we started, excuse me, this redesign process, we went first to conservation. And then after we further developed the plan with Mr. Rodnott and Mr. Powell, we found the frontage became an issue. So at this point, we're at a standstill, just ready to wait. We have to get through zoning board first. If you were willing to grant the waiver for the reduction in lot width through the building. Once we get through here, we'll have to go back to conservation and planning. Conservation just to see the revised plan, and then planning board for a common driveway special permit and stormwater permit. So if there's any particular questions you have for us, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Where is the existing house you're doing the swap with?
Right here.
Okay.
So this is Mr. Rodnott's house. This is 155 Arbor Street. The existing lot line is where this retaining wall is, right here. So by reducing, getting 11.24 feet of frontage, pulling it over here, gives us enough lot area then.
But it doesn't create any issues from him as far as side, setbacks or anything?
Nope, setbacks and frontage, he still has more than adequate. 100 feet of frontage is what's required in the Residence A. He currently has, the minimum frontage is 100 feet. Right now, even with the reduction, he's got 137 feet. And then with the land swap, he's now going to be compliant with lot area in the Residence A, where
which is
currently
good.
he's not.
What's the total length of the driveway to the last house?
So, total length. We don't have it written on the plan, but you can see here.
Yeah, you can approximate.
I would say in total, it's probably about 700 feet.
Okay, okay.
Up to the first house, up to the driveway here, we're about, I think it's about 200 feet. It's about
Yeah.
another 150 feet and another couple hundred feet here. So these
Yeah,
houses
I
all.
knew it would be quite a ways because
Yep.
I went there and looked and,
Yep.
said, whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
All the houses have to meet current building code, fire protection code, so,
Right,
the length of driveway, as we've talked about this, and building commissioner has seen the proposed plan, and, to our knowledge, he has no issues with it.
okay,
But we still do have to go through planning board,
right,
so it will be reviewed again by the town departments,
okay,
including fire and police.
thank you. I'll open it up to the board.
I see the driveways for the end house and the one on the left, and in their garage, there's appears to be no area for a turnaround or a U-turn or for even a fire vehicle to make a turn to do something. Is that possible to add without any changes? to-
Absolutely, yeah, so right now, there's I believe it's a 30-foot wide easement that's required around the common driveway for access and utilities. It's also required to have, I believe it's every 150 feet, basically not a turnaround, but there has to be like a bump out that allows cars to pull over.
Right, yeah.
And then that'll all be incorporated, the final details, when we do file this with the planning board after fire department reviews it.
So we may see a couple spurs by the driveways or...
You'd likely see, this area is all flat in between, so there's likely gonna be, a gravel kind of hammerhead turnaround. Typically, the last common drive we did, off of Reservoir Road, I believe it was about 20 feet wide, 30 feet deep. It was more than enough area for a fire truck to be able to turn around, back in and turn around.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Flip that over.
Yep.
So I see the 11 feet that you want, right?
Yes.
But where on is the 50 feet of vegetation that you're not touching?
So, once we're here for a special permit
Right.
for this lot, John
Right,
Rudnott's
that
house.
11.24.
Yeah, so that's for this property.
Right,
So when we file with planning board, we need to file an A&R plan that basically takes that frontage that he's now given us and added to our frontage.
right, I understand that. But you said in your presentation, there was 50 feet of vegetation that you made arrangements where you weren't gonna touch with.
So that's this parcel A in the
Yep.
back. So this parcel A is going to remain vegetated. And the applicant and Stephen Powell have agreed to in the deed, the legal arrangement that's written up in the deed to this 50 feet of frontage, that this lot to be a legal lot needs a minimum 50 feet of frontage. So from the frontage here up to the limit of our driveway,
Yeah.
this piece here is gonna remain in natural vegetated state. So because we have a common driveway, I don't need to grade all the way back, because there's topography up there and slopes and hills, so to meet the minimum subdivision standards, I had to grade a lot of that frontage out, and to put a stormwater basin up toward the front. So now that we're doing just a driveway, that's not needed, so we've agreed this piece here, which is the frontage of parcel A, kind of that little neck, to remain vegetated.
Right, thank you.
Other questions?
So I see you have something on the plans, but are your plans to, to adjust the former stone wall for Mr. Rodenott's property to make it now symbolize the 50 additional feet? So that, I'm trying to just delineate so that now the new neighbors in the back, because I don't assume it's going to be, the family moving there, but they would know that that's not theirs?
Typically with that, as part of the subdivision approval, I don't think a stone wall relocation would typically.
Not that side, the other side, the back.
Oh, back here?
So that way, if I took whatever stone wall was on his property and moved it on their property and moved it to your property, the edge of your property.
From here to here.
Exactly.
I guess that's,
I'm just looking at it as just trying to, you mentioned it was gonna stay vegetation, you mentioned all that stuff. It just would, to me, it'd be a nice way of delineating, because I doubt they're using that land right now.
no, so what's, the way this is all, which it's getting into more detail than we probably need to, but parcel A is given to him. The Rodnott family also has right of first refusal for this back property. So
okay.
They want to develop and maintain as much of this property for themselves as they can.
Gotcha.
So, they very well may end up owning that parcel as well in the back.
Gotcha, okay.
For right now, typically what we do as part of this is, it would be staked. There would be monuments put in the ground. But, to relocate a stone wall, it's a little more of an effort than he'd
Okay.
probably agree to at this point, but, it's certainly not out of the
All right,
question.
not a big deal. Okay. Other than that, fine.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
I just want, there's really nothing for 171 for us, it's really just 155?
Yes.
Isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why this plan only shows 155. This we can establish the revised lot lines and all that through plan board.
Yes.
So we're not asking for any waivers or relief from zoning for that parcel, for 171.
Sure.
Thank you. The turtle property will stay turtle property.
So NESHAP, who's the National Heritage and Endangered Species Program, we spent months modifying design, sending it back to them, modifying the design, coming back to them. We were pushing a 3-lot subdivision, and then after Mr. Rodnott approached us, realized we could do a lot less impact with Common Drive,
Easier.
and
Yeah.
they sent us a letter of approval on our concept plan and asked us to proceed with our local permits with the town of Lunenburg. And once we get those permits in hand, we have to file the final plan back to the National Heritage Endangered Species Program for our final sign-off on the permit. So this is the plan they've agreed to. This plan with the grading on it and the total impact has significantly less of an impact than the first plan we filed with Concom. So we've been continuing our meetings, telling them what's going on, so they're basically waiting for a ZBA to be done. So it's significantly less of an impact with conservation, so I don't see any issue with getting through this with Concom. And then, again, we want to make sure we have Concom on board before we finalize with Planning Board. But once we get through this process, we would refile again with Concom and Planning Board concurrently.
Are there any signs posted in that spot where
Yes.
the turtles live?
Yep, they have,
So no one, so the thing is,
and
don't want to disturb.
there has to be a deed restriction now on these lots. Outlined with a meets and bounds description, so.
Any other questions? Mr. Review, so the variation for the reduction of the lot width through the building, that was the pre-existing width was 146.6, and you want to go to 138.1? And 136.9 to 129.8, is that correct? Just want to make sure.
The numbers are right, yep.
Okay, if there are no other questions from the board, public, anybody from the public would like to speak? Anybody on Zoom?
I have a few people on Zoom, so if you're interested in speaking in this,
They would have to use
I
the
would-
raise hand feature and...
raise your hand now.
Or just pop on.
Yeah, or just yell. But I am seeing none.
None. Okay, so there's no public discussion, so with that, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the special permit as requested.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Aye.
Call for a vote,
Aye.
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 and aye.
Right.
And with that, it's granted. I do have to read you one more thing, the post-decision. The special permit is granted with the contingency that the petitioner complies with all licenses, regulations, statutes, ordinances of any and all applicable local, state, federal boards or agencies within jurisdiction over the premises. The special permit is subject to a periodic review by the permit granting authority or the enforcement officer to ensure compliance with conditions. Non-compliance to such conditions may result in the revocation of this permit. A copy of the board's decision shall be filed with the town clerk within 14 days. Any party aggrieved by the board's decision may appeal to Superior Court 20 days after the decision is filed with town clerk. After certification by town clerk that 20 days have elapsed since the decision was filed, you should have it recorded in the Registry of Deeds. No special permit shall take effect until it has been recorded. The special permit shall lapse within 2 years unless substantial use or construction has commenced. With that, good luck.
Thank you very much.
If you want,
Do you want to, yeah, do you have to submit it to anybody else? You sure? Yes, we're just gonna throw them out, so.
We have a whole new set of plans for that.
Huh?
I have a whole new set of plans for that already.
Oh, fine, be that way. Oh, we don't get to see the other plans. Fine, okay. Enjoy, guys.
All right, thank you. Yep.
Let me just. I just want to tell him to put the TV screen back up so you can see.
She's saying we're not on. We're gonna just pause for a minute, which we're seeing what's going through on air.
I have somebody joined.
Huh?
Somebody did join, like,
Yeah,
I have
through Zoom,
Bri-
but
Brian
maybe it's
and
not
someone
going
else
out through
joined.
public access.
No, but I just got a text that we're not live on TV.
oh,
Yeah, so public access may not be on.
oh, separate from Zoom.
Brian want to speak right after when we start discussing fees?
That one always has just my name, but
Well, no, because he's not on Zoom then.
the other people are, it's just they're on the top.
Oh, that's right.
Tiny, tiny
Okay. Oh, I
letters.
see.
Yeah. See, everyone's here. That's
Right,
the same thing.
right. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to change his with the remote.
Does he have us on now? Are we good?
He said we were on. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
We're on YouTube, let's put it that way.
Okay.
It's more
And with that, we'll go into the second application tonight. And what I will do is we'll have Lisa read the next application.
This is an application for a special permit, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. The name and address of the applicant is Daniel Hernandez of Hernandez Family Realty LLC of 68 Weather Vane Drive in Leominster. This is undersigned hereby makes application as follows. A special permit for dimensional variation to vary Section 255.2A, the 40-foot front yard zoning setback. Proposed action has not begun. Following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, Section 250-7.4A1. Street address of the property is 48 Island Road in Lunenburg, and the assessors map 24, parcel 39. The name and address of each holder of legal title to the land which is the subject of this case is Hernandez Family Realty LLC, 68 Weather Vane Drive in Leominster, and Gasbarrow Enterprises LLC of 43 Forsythia Road in Leominster. The deed is recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Book 10750, page 167, and recorded April 24th, 2024. And that's signed by Danny Hernandez on August 12th, 2024, at 68 Weather Vane Drive of Leominster, Massachusetts. Existing conditions. The subject property is located at 48 Island Road, which is shown as Assessors Map 24, Parcel 39. The property contains approximately .47 acres of land, make the lot non-conforming with respect to lot area. The property contains an existing single-family dwelling, which is accessed by a paved driveway. The dwelling is extremely deteriorated and uninhabitable, but is served by a subsurface sewage disposal system and private well located on the property. The entire lot is located within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetland located on the eastern portion of the property. The front corner of the dwelling is located at 38.2 feet from the front property line, making the dwelling non-conforming with a 40-foot front yard zoning setback. The entire property is located in the Residence A zoning district. Proposed conditions. The applicant is proposing to renovate the existing structure by replacing foundation walls, siding, roofing, windows, interior walls, and flooring. The project will include the removal of an existing room and 2 attached sheds. The renovations will also include the addition of an attached 2-car garage and front entryway to the south side of the dwelling. The garage addition will extend the existing nonconformity within the front yard zoning setback. As the property involves the extension of a nonconforming structure that increases an existing nonconformity, the building commissioner has required the filing of this special permit application pursuant to section 705, or should be 750-7.4A1 of the protective zoning bylaw. See attached correspondence. The question and answer portion of the special permit criteria are as follows. A, will the proposed action be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire or explosion, or other reasons? The reply, the proposed use of the property is the same as the existing use, a single-family residence. The proposed action will not be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous, as it will not add additional traffic and does not constitute a new danger of fire or explosion. B, will this action have a material adverse effect on the land and on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities of the neighborhood? The reply, the project involves the renovation and repair of a deteriorated structure will likely increase the assessed value on the property. As such, we expect the proposed dwelling to have a positive effect on land values in the neighborhood. C, will the proposed action be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness if an open use? The existing structure is unsightly and deteriorating. The applicant has hired J.R. Associates to design the proposed renovations, which will result in an aesthetically pleasing single-family home which will fit in with the character of the neighborhood. D, will the proposed action produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property? The response, as mentioned, the proposed use will continue to be a single-family residence. The restored and updated structure will not produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare that would be detrimental to the adjacent properties. There is a letter dated August 8th to the Board of Appeals. This letter is to provide written authorization to allow staff from Dillison Roy Civil Design Group to represent the proposed project at 48 Island Road. Respectfully submitted, Daniel Hernandez of Hernandez Family Realty LLC, the applicant. There is also a list of abutters that were all notified 2 weeks prior to tonight. There is the zoning determination from the building commissioner. I'll just summarize. The proposed project involves the restoration and modifications to the existing single-family structure on the property. The work will include replacement of interior walls, siding, and the construction of a new garage on the west side of the dwelling. The proposed project will require an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission. And it is the 250-5.2A front setback is what is before the board. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
With that, I would invite the applicant or his representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Greg Roy with Dillison Roy. I am representing the applicant this evening, Danny Hernandez, who's with us this evening as well. Appreciate, as always, Lisa's reading of the application. I don't have much to add. In summary, as was read, the site, which most of you probably are familiar with, is quite run down, and the applicant is looking to restore it, essentially, bring it back to life through some structural improvements of the foundation, some removal of some, shed-type structures that have been constructed over the years. But the most significant addition is the addition of a two-car attached garage, which would happen in the front. And then that would happen on the left-hand side of the property, if you're looking at it from the street, and then a new entryway on the right-hand side of the property. Both of those would be located within the footprint of the existing driveway, so if you can visualize it, within areas that are already paved. In the case of the garage, within areas that are already used for the storage of vehicles that just happen inside. And as we said, the closest point of the existing house is 38.2 feet, and the closest point of the house, should you approve the application, would be to the left-hand corner, front left corner of the garage, and that would be at 23.5 feet. So that's the dimensional variation that we are seeking from your board.
What was that number again?
We would be reducing the front yard setback from 38.2 feet down to 23.5 feet.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And as was said, there is resource areas as defined by the Wetlands Protection Act and the local Wetlands Protection Bylaw. There's bordering vegetated wetland and a perennial stream on the property. So we have filed a joint concurrently, I'll say, application for a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission, and that will be forthcoming on a subsequent meeting with the commission. And I think that's all. Happy to take any questions, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on the front yard setback. Now, I know that the current garage is on the right, so that's coming, you're changing that to the left.
Correct.
And the difference, if I measured what you had coming out, there's like a little retaining wall there?
There is.
To the left side?
That's correct.
It's about 8 feet?
We have that at about 24, well, no, let's see. I have that about, the proposed garage would come out about as far as that retaining wall is coming out.
That's what I thought.
Right, yeah.
That, if I measure right, would be a little over 8 feet.
8 feet,
So I'm wondering why we went from 38 to 23,
8 feet from where?
unless it's the curvature of the road that changes, it going from the right side to the left.
I don't know, I have it on the plot plan here at, scaled at 20, the garage is normally 24 by 24. And when you dimension that to the edge of the Island Road right away, we're at 23 and a half.
Okay, all right, as long as
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yep.
That's what it is. Okay. Let's see. Now, on the foundation, I notice it has a cellar.
Yep.
Correct? And it's a block cellar. Is
Yep.
that, is he gonna shore that up? Is that,
Yeah, there is,
that's still structurally sound? or
there is
that-
foundation work proposed. I think, if I'm speaking out of turn here, Danny, let me know, but I think there'll be an assessment done on the foundation, and the parts that need to be replaced will be replaced. I think it's quite a bit of it.
Yeah, so the left side.
You have to come up to the mic. Thank you, and give your name and address, please.
Danny Hernandez, 68 Weather Vane Drive. So on the left side of the property, I'm not sure how long it is, but pretty much that whole left side has to be, there's no footing, so we have to take out, re-support the walls, the joists, take out that foundation, re-pour footing, and then relay the proper concrete, so.
Okay, and I take it this, on that same side, that shed way in the back that's attached to the
Yes.
house?
We're proposing to
That's,
remove that.
that's all coming down?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And I also noticed on the right side, it's quite a drop-off, like
Yes.
8 feet.
Yeah, so we propose a brand-new retaining wall on the right side, 10 feet on that side, and then 80 foot on the other side, because it is over 4 feet high from the difference in properties. So for fall protection purposes, we're going to propose an 80-foot retaining wall on the left side as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
have some other questions, but I'm gonna open it up to the board
Thanks, Dan.
first.
Is the present structure a three-bedroom home, and the septic system and everything's been approved for that?
I'm not certain on what it is. We're not proposing any changes to the bedrooms, and the septic system has passed the Title V inspection, and there isn't any proposed changes to the septic system. Septic system's located in the back of the property, off the back side of the house, and there is no changes proposed to that.
It's my understanding that, I think Dan Proctor did that, Title V in that house.
Yes, he did.
And I believe there was only 2 bedrooms in the bottom floor.
It might be, that very well could be.
Okay, all right. Any other questions from the board?
The mouse will stay close.
Do I have to state, or Danny
No.
Hernandez, 68, okay.
Okay, we're
So
good.
there's a third bedroom upstairs.
Upstairs.
And then 2 in the back. Yeah, the third bedroom's above the existing garage right now. It has a bathroom attached as well. And then there's 2 on the bottom backside of the house as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Dan.
One more question while they're thinking. As far as the water, it has a well on the property. Is there any, you going to connect to the town water, or are you going to continue on the well?
I honestly did not even know we had town water. I thought I had to stay with the well. I don't know if the line runs through that street. I will check. If I can run it through the city, I would propose with the city. But if not, then I would continue with the well. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Other questions?
Sure, the retaining wall on the left that's being moved, I'm trying to look at the elevations, is that gonna be where we're gonna try to have it fairly level on that side, or, and how high is that proposed block retaining wall?
I think you said you were at 4 feet or less? 4 feet or less, so we wouldn't have a fall protection issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And are you gonna try to make that as level as possible, that side of the property? Okay. And you said there was a retaining wall on the right as well?
It's,
I'm trying to see where that is.
It's actually, there's just a small one where the garage comes in. Near the garage doors, it's only about 2 feet high, but then the block wall for the actual structure of the house.
Okay.
Right at the
I got
entryway
you.
there.
I got you. Right where the front door is, kind of?
Right, yeah.
Okay. I see it now. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just had a quick question. So when I'm looking at the front elevation picture, the entryway, that's where those 2 garage doors are now, correct? So it's like that roof line and everything and height is what's currently there?
Correct. You're not
And
making any
then-
changes to the height on that, yeah. Right, that's correct.
And then that garage just kind of fills in that alcove?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And it does stick out further from, towards the front, but
Right.
it's in that alcove area, that's
Yep,
correct.
yep, correct. Okay, cool. Thank you.
One more question?
My only other question had to do with the design of the house, but that's not what we're here for. So, I think you should put the front door on the other side. Because that way they would have, you can actually get rid of the door out on the deck to the garage, put that door inside the house, so I can now go in and out of the house without, so I would have a mudroom there, so I'd have a foyer mudroom on the left side, and you wouldn't be walking right into the middle of my family room. So you'd walk into the foyer mudroom, you can have a door to the garage there, you can have a door to the front door there, and eliminate that little thing in the front. Anyway, sorry, that's just the other side of me, so go ahead.
Is that Bill?
Is that you in another life? Yeah.
Right?
That's you
I'm doing that in the
another-
other life
Yeah,
anyhow, so
right.
that's okay. Job number 7, okay. Other than that, Mr. Chair, no further questions.
Further, okay, and no further questions from the board. No, the rest of the questions, I know the answers,
No
so.
public comments because...
Yeah, we do have public comment. Anybody on Zoom?
Same group that we've had the whole time, so if anyone does want to chime in,
Anyone would like to
unmute yourself
speak
or
from Zoom?
hand up.
Raise hand, please.
Seeing nothing.
Nothing. Okay, with that, I'll bring it back to the board, and I will ask for a motion.
So I'll make a motion that we grant the, grant the setback as stated to be 23, to be at 23.5 feet, so grant the easement.
Okay.
I'd second that.
Motion and a second. I'll ask for a vote,
Aye.
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 and aye.
Thank you very much. We
With
appreciate
that,
it.
the special permit is granted. I do have to read a little more. The special permit is granted with the contingency that the petitioner complies with all licenses, regulations, statutes, ordinances of any and all applicable local, state, federal boards or agencies with jurisdiction over the premises. The special permit is subject to periodic review by the permit granting authority or the enforcement officer to ensure compliance with any conditions. Non-compliance to such conditions may result in a revocation of the permit. A copy of the board's decision shall be filed with the town clerk within 14 days. Any party aggrieved by the board's decision may appeal to Superior Court 20 days after the decision is filed with the town clerk. After a certification by the town clerk that the 20 days have elapsed since the decision was filed, you should have it recorded in the Registry of Deeds. No special permit shall take effect until it has been recorded, and the special permit shall lapse within 2 years unless substantial use or construction has commenced. And with that, good luck with your renovations.
Do you want the copies, Danny?
I didn't find the right one.
Those were really nice prints.
Exactly. Oh, do you want the other one? Here, do you-
Oh,
Save a tree.
We'll see you.
Thanks.
thank you.
So we had one more hearing scheduled for 7:30, and they They sent a letter to us back on 8/27/2024. This was for 1295 Massachusetts Avenue. Hi, Lisa. Kathy and I have decided to withdraw our kennel application at this time. Sorry for any inconvenience. Thanks. And that's signed Nate Buitt. That was the kennel that was proposed at 1295 Massachusetts Ave, property owned by Dan Proctor. So that was withdrawn.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Makes our night shorter.
And we talked about the proposed changes in board fees and application. I gave you some comparisons that you asked for at the last meeting. They're in front of you. As you can see, the filing fees are between 100 and 400 in about 8 of the surrounding towns. And our current filing fee is $100, but we also, out of that, pay admin, postage, and advertising, which is getting costly. So these new proposed fees are in front of you, or you can talk about them, and I think the building commissioner is on Zoom, and he can speak to it if you have any questions.
You guys have presented and you gave all the towns, and is there a feel that you have that would cover all the expenses? That's just, I'd like to put as much, a reasonable fee that we can, but I want the town to have to pick up any of the expenses. So is there a feeling for that?
Well, the advertising fee will now be paid by the applicant, so that's one, out of the $100 filing fee, that's $80 right there with the application fee. The abutters postage, well, the postage is up almost 70 cents an envelope now.
But under this, they pay for it all, so,
They would pay for that, and it would just be the filing fee. When I spoke to the commissioner before I left today, he added them all up with the exception of the town of Sterling, which was $400 filing fee, and he said the average was $135.
okay.
But he's probably on Zoom if he wants to speak to it.
Does he have any comment?
Yeah, I think he just unmuted himself.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how many can see me anyway. So yeah, Lisa and I have gone back and forth on this for a little while. And kind of looking at it more from the land use manager position that I have for the next couple of days. We looked at it, again, the town was losing money with every single application. So staying with the $100 filing fee covers your actual admin costs, offsets any additional salary that you may have as a result of overtime for meetings, et cetera, and having the applicant pay the ever fluctuating costs for advertising and mailing takes those expenses entirely out of the town. And basically, last year there was a deficit. We had to keep transferring money. That gets eliminated completely.
Okay. Any thoughts on it?
So, well, right now, I mean, I like the idea of the applicant paying the advertising and the postage. That makes sense, because it kind of levels the playing field, because if somebody has 5 abutters and somebody has 50 abutters, it's their responsibility more than anything else. So I do like that quite a bit. I guess the question then is, are we able to raise the filing fees, or is that something that would have to come through folks above us?
We can adjust the fee.
Okay, so I would look at it as I do like the idea of the towns that have a different fee for residential and commercial. I do believe that when it comes to commercial, we usually end up with more paperwork than we do with the residential. And I kind of like the idea that if anything, we'd be raising the fees for the commercial aspect of it, and maybe keep the fees for the residential the same.
Okay. Can I get Brian's feedback and yours, Lisa, on how much more work it is, commercial, residential?
Well, from my end, part of what's before you also is the transition to online permitting that we are ready to go live with the minute this meeting is over, basically. That will reduce some of the workload in the department, and I know a meeting with town council, he cautioned about having fees that were excessive because they're only supposed to cover the actual town cost. So we didn't really look at adding a commercial fee so much because we are actually going to reduce some of the workload within the department at the same time by going to online permitting.
Did you hear that?
I did.
We're going to go live with the online permitting.
So out of these towns that you have here, how many of them are doing online?
I didn't see any. This is actually going to be one of the first, I believe, in this area that has online permitting for ZBA. It is modeled after another community in near Boston that went entirely online. Their fees are way different. I mean, town of Lexington, I mean, they're way higher than we would be anyway. But we're essentially, Lunenburg's going to be one of the first to go to this level that we've built out.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, do you have any thoughts on your workload?
I think
Commercial,
they would be,
residential.
I think it would be significantly diminished because of the fact we'll be online.
But is there a difference between a residential and a commercial to you today?
There is significantly more if it's a commercial. It just depends. Everything's always different. And we don't have a huge commercial base in Lunenburg,
Right.
True.
so it's very few and far between as far as what I do.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not making, yeah, I know we're trying to cut down on the work. I want to make sure, you know, by having two, it doesn't increase the work.
I don't know about that. You know, with regard to commercial or residential, that the commercial is that much more level of difficulty, as far as I'm concerned.
Can I jump in for a minute on this? When we did the fees assessment for the building department for plumbing, electrical, gas, one of the conversations that we had at the select board level was to address it 6 months to a year out to make sure that the fees were working for both applicant and the department. Suggest maybe you look at, stay with the 100 and address it in 6 months to see if we do have any commercial work, if it actually does pose any type of additional workload. We'll be able to track that better now. Being online, there's so much more that we'll be able to actually track in terms of the workload, workflow, things that right now we're kind of speculating at a meeting based on, well, we may have had more paper here or there, but we'll actually be able to track it now and to a much greater extent than we have in the past. So maybe say, okay, we're going to do this fee, but in 6 months we're going to have another meeting to just discuss how it's working.
Okay. So I guess, Ryan, is your work any different from residential to commercial? Your review time?
A little bit, but again, it could be a residential bathroom versus a warehouse. So, I mean, you're talking major difference, which is why we base our fees entirely on the construction value. So for the ZBA applications, they're so few and far between. Lisa would have a better handle on how much extra time. I don't know that it is substantially more, and at the 100 spread across, you probably more than covering the actual salary and additional costs of the department.
Any discussion on where anybody feels?
I know in my experience, like I recently did a fire alarm in Worcester, and over the course of like a couple of days on OpenGov, like people were messaging me, approving things, and like they're across town from each other. So if we are gonna do that, I think that does help out a lot, just as far as every department being able to see everything right there and not delivering anything to anybody, or really even, you don't even really have to email anything to anybody because the applicant is doing all the work and getting it there for everybody, so.
Yeah, the ZBA would be the second to last border commission under land use that is not online. Conservation's running at 100%, planning is online now, even the historic commission is online.
Any
I guess-
suggestions on a fee, or
So I
we
would,
want to go with the average he made?
Well, I personally would like to see there's a difference. I'd like to keep the residential fee where, if we can,
Yeah.
the residential fee being the same, maybe raising the commercial fee to say, like maybe 150, nothing significant, something a little bit different, but not, because we seem to get more of the commercial in front of us and then the residential, on there. So I would look at it as that having maybe $100 for residential, 150 for commercial, but I also would look to see if we're gonna upgrade ourselves, the idea of us getting tablets versus having to kill 50 trees, because that's the other question is now, if you're gonna do everything online, who's paying for the printing of all this material for us to get, type of thing right now. So I believe that the only way we can do this correctly, because that's gonna actually increase a workload, if you now have to make 8 copies of everything for us that you're gonna just take it off the online portal and make copies for us. Because right now, you're asking them to bring in these E-size drawings and things of that sort for us. What happens at that point?
You're going to be online as well. So instead of you asking me the question, me asking the applicant the question, you can ask the applicant the question right on the portal.
I understand what you're saying there, but right now, we receive these larger drawings to review. How would we be doing it then? So in other words, so I'm looking at it as that, am I now doing this on my personal, if I want to look at it, I have to look at my personal equipment, which really shouldn't be the same as with the town. I should be able to separate the two. However, do I now ask the applicant to still print these out for us to review?
Good question.
What's your suggestion on that, Brian?
I honestly thought that you guys had tablets already, so.
It's not in our budget right now, Brian. The
Okay,
budget that
sorry.
the town-
Yeah, I thought the town had provided stuff during COVID, because I know planning has theirs. Thought you guys had some. You'd still need to get paper copies if you don't have access to these things during the meeting. Each commission is working different, board's working different. Conservation is doing everything entirely remotely, and they're reviewing everything remotely during the meetings online. So it's a tricky one, because I thought you guys had more tech than you did. So again, we can receive applications online, but the pertinent paperwork, I think you're still gonna have to receive copies from the applicant until we can figure out how to get you equipment.
Right, and that's why my proposal would be that there's a separate fee for the two. That there's, say, 100, even if it's 100 and 150, because I do feel that in the long run, right, in the short term, there's gonna be more work on your side. In the long term, when the town finally decides or might decide to give us tablets instead, then I agree that workload, it would be easier. And it would make more sense, because even these large drawings, sometimes it's hard to read some things. It would have been nicer to be able to blow it up myself and see things.
Great.
We do receive some applications online currently, and I print them up.
Right. So,
But it's nice that the other departments can weigh in right online.
yes,
So we're not distributing all the applications to the other departments, because they can look at the application right online. And if I had a question, or anybody had a question, you can respond right to the applicant yourself.
100% agree. I like the idea of an online. I'd had the same experience. I've just done a large building permit, and it was 8 different boards I was interacting with online. It was much simpler. However, I do also look at it as our board, unfortunately, in front of the meeting, we need to be able to see things and have a chance to review it.
Yeah, definitely.
No. And it's just a matter of whether the town's, if there's something in the budget for $200 a piece for a tablet for us to kind of do something, or a workbook. I was going to say, a workbook or something for us to be able to do something.
But at this time,
At this time, no, I'm not. And that's not a question for you guys, it's just more of a general question for, as the board and for the town. So once again, my proposal would be that we have a separate fee for commercial and residential. If you want, we can keep the residential at 100, and maybe the commercial would be at, like, say,
I
150.
think the 100, Lisa, with them paying everything, is adequate. You're taking away the $80
In the postage.
advertising and the postage.
It
but it's-
seems
You still
reasonable,
gotta pay your
but-
time, like
right.
tonight here.
I don't know, did you want to weigh in on that, Brian, or do you think?
Well, right now, the town actually loses $50 on average for every application. So you're already at the net of 100 right off the bat before paying salaries, which right now Lisa's paid mostly out of the building department. And the ZBA salary has not been getting hit that hard. But again, the reality is you're losing on average of 50 for every application that comes in.
Say 150?
Yeah, I kind of like what the surrounding towns are doing, Shirley, Lancaster, 150 and 250 myself. It's just my 2 cents.
What is it again?
I like what the surrounding towns, Lancaster and Shirley are doing, 150 and 250, because if we're already losing money.
And how often do we want to revisit this? I know it's the first time in a few years.
Probably 20 years.
Exactly, so.
But-
Well, 26,
but again,
because I've
I
been
don't
here that
wanna-
long.
I don't want to, I want to cover all expenses, but I don't want to go to a point where we're making money on it, because that's not the purpose.
No. But I mean, Brian just said, right now, we're $50 in the hole
Right.
at 100.
But once we take advertising and postage out, is that where that loss is coming from?
That's entirely where the loss is coming from.
Entirely, yeah,
Okay.
right. So,
They don't pay you enough, I guess, huh? If it's only gonna be $20 for all this work, you know?
20,
Yeah, well, if you take 80 out, the advertising alone is 80,
I'm thinking
now we're
that.
down to 20, then if they have to do any postage at all, you're down to, it's like $10 is all we're doing on each one. So I'd agree that,
Oh,
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, you have a lot, you
I'm
have a
being
lot of
nice.
butters.
The average is around 20, 25
a butters?
a butter.
All right, so there's your other $20, so we
Yeah,
don't pay you at all. That,
but,
yeah,
right. But again, those fees will be taken care of by the applicant.
Right.
right. So,
So let's try and figure out the fee. You know, I think that what they're proposing, Brian and Lisa, certainly the postage and the advertising fees, all that, definitely on the applicant. So then it just becomes, what is the actual fee above and beyond those?
That's a reasonable increase when you look at it. It's basically a doubling of their cost, and taking away almost half of that from the cost of the board. So that's a reasonable increase to start with,
What's the increase? What increase are you talking?
by having them pay
Okay, Yeah,
those
yeah.
things. It's,
Okay.
if they're paying 100
No.
now,
got it.
and the cost is 80, and then 20 plus for postage, there's 100 there, so it's a wash.
Yeah, you're actually doubling their cost on that type of application.
right.
What did he say? I missed it.
I didn't
It would-
hear a word that he
It would be, you'd be doubling the cost, 'cause they're paying the $80 application fee, say they're $20 in mailing and the $100 fee. So that's 200 versus they're paying 100 now and we pay everything.
I see what he's saying, yeah.
Yeah. So I say, I still like the idea that if you want to maintain 100 for the residential, which is fine, and then 150 for the commercial, for a commercial. Because I feel there's more, to-
How does the rest of the board feel about it?
I think the commercial should pay more.
Okay. Gentlemen, at the end, any thoughts?
I do a lot of commercial work, so I think commercial should pay less.
but you're not biased at all.
You'd like commercial would be $10?
Yeah. No, Is it difficult, does having two fees, does that create any like gray area, or is that's pretty obvious if there's two fees? Doesn't make anything difficult, or, okay.
It'll take us 5 minutes to adjust the forms tomorrow to go to that.
I've been with this board since 1997, and the fees have never been raised.
Yeah.
I mean, so even that $100 fee would be reasonable to,
I mean, as a commercial, you just absorb it in the customer's fees, right?
yeah.
Right.
And the commercial base in town has gone
Yeah,
up
well, yeah.
phenomenally since that time.
Yeah,
But they pay the same taxes.
Yeah.
yeah, so I agree, we could split it.
It's just a different process, too. I feel like commercial is just a little bit more. It's a different, we usually.
I agree with that in the sense that even our meetings generally, when it's commercial, longer hearings
Yes, definitely.
and a lot more detailed, more to it, so they maybe should pay more.
Do we know how many, meetings we average in a year?
You know, the years
It fluctuates.
change so much, it fluctuates so much. I mean, it seems like there's building spurts and you have, like right now, we're every 2 weeks, we're having two.
Yeah.
And then,
It dies out in the
we've,
summer,
like,
yeah.
1 year there where we had 3 months where we didn't have a hearing.
Yeah.
So it really, it depends on what's going on in the economy.
Because COVID, when COVID was around, we basically were that busy.
So, can I ask something? Is there a way of doing something where we could also look at it as whether it's I'm looking at it as a development being different if they have come to us. So I'm trying to do something for, say, the next 40B or the next development would be.
That 40B is a completely different animal.
I understand that.
That would
The fees are separate.
totally separate. and
No,
different.
what I'm saying is I'm trying to look at the next development that might come in. Because I feel like might end up with more than one hearing or different things, like, then you have to, well, I guess they would be in charge of advertising each time.
Correct.
If we had an extension from the hearing. Okay, so that's fine. We're looking at, I gotta stop and look at it as just what I feel is your workload more than anything else. And I do look at it then just a simple 100 and 150 is just real simple.
And if it's a continuation, you don't have to re-advertise.
Okay,
It's just the first.
Yeah.
gotcha, okay, all right.
Okay, does anybody else have any thoughts? Do they like where David's going with this?
Can I make a proposal then?
Huh?
Do I have to make a proposal, or?
You will.
All right.
To keep,
Does anybody, before he does want to, is somebody, I would rather be 135, 150, go up on it residential to 125, any thoughts?
so you're saying keep residential as is and commercial at 50?
Right.
Yeah. Seems fair.
Good.
That's agreeable.
And if we're done,
Anybody on Zoom?
anybody on Zoom?
It's only Brian.
Brian, any more comments, Brian?
I'm good. I'm just here as a guide. So,
By the way, thank you and Lisa for doing all of the background for this. for-
Yes.
well,
getting the
that one was
information.
mostly her.
Okay,
You're on.
All right, so I make a proposal that we adjust the fees to be $100 for keep $100 for residential, $150 for commercial, and the applicant is responsible for advertising and abutters postage. And that this will be reviewed again in, what was it, 6 months? 6 months we review it.
I second.
we have a motion and a second, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
James?
All right.
Patrick?
Aye.
Aye.
And I say aye. So that is the new fee structure then, for the next 6 months anyway. With that, I thank you all very much, and that should,
Yeah, motion to adjourn?
Second.
motion to adjourn, second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 This is over. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.